Thank you for tuning in to the Keeping It Real with KC podcast, a no judgment zone podcast that covers lifestyle, entertainment, news, and sports. Even though KC doesn't watch sports, but these are minor details. By the way, he reads tarot cards too. Yes, I really mean it. He reads tarot cards too. And now, the host you've tuned in for, KC Phoenix.
Welcome to the Keeping It Real with KC podcast again. Oh boy, I'm doing a few episodes. I did the lucky numbers and then I did the Spotify announcement for my Spotify listeners as well, and then I decided to do a daily thought too. Honestly, there's a lot of episodes that need to get done. I'm not doing them all today. I'm just doing some right now. And one thing that just hit me, I didn't think that it would hit me, was me missing the rain. Or let me rephrase, me missing the rain and the thunder. Because I'm not a thunderstorm person. I'm really not. But I've always said, as our lives change, so do our needs. That's something I learned at one of my old jobs many, many years ago. And last night, there was a thunderstorm here because we don't have a lot of thunderstorms here, but I mean, there's a few. It's not like LA, because I lived in LA for, well, if you add both times together for, let's see, 11 plus 2.5, so yeah, 13.5 years I lived in Los Angeles. And thunderstorms aren't really, well, depends on what part of Los Angeles you live in. But for the most part, it's not really a thing. And that wasn't something that I would deal with on a regular in Los Angeles. And even with the rain, depending on where you lived in LA, it was still kind of a rare thing that it would rain. Now, sometimes when it would rain, it would rain. But for the most part, is the sun shining in Los Angeles. That's what you pay for. Just for those who have never lived in Los Angeles before, what you're paying for is the weather. That is all you're paying for. You're not paying for anything else. You're just paying for the weather. That's it. But when it comes to thunderstorms and rain, I was listening to the thunderstorm last night and the rain. And I was like, wow, this sounds so relaxing. I was just listening to it and wrapping up because I was close to preparing for bed. And I never thought, because now originally I'm from the Carolinas. So I'm a Carolina kid. So I thought that, no more thunderstorms and rains, because I obviously lived in Los Angeles because I was kind of over it. And then living in Miami with the rain, oh my goodness, when it rains in Miami. That was one of the reasons why I left Miami, because I was just like, no. I'm not about this life. I'm not a rain person. That's why I never moved to Seattle, even though I was interested in possibly moving to Seattle. Good thing I didn't. But last night, it was just weird. I was wrapping up my night, getting things done, and the rain was pouring, and the thunder was rolling. And I was like, I'm really going to sleep good tonight. Because it was just so relaxing. And the thing that let me know I missed thunderstorms was it finished right before I got in bed. Like, I was close to having everything wrapped up because I have my little routines and stuff I do at nighttime. And I was like, okay, I'm almost ready. I'm almost ready for bed. I have this out the way. I have that out the way. That's done. This is done. And as I was preparing, it was like, it's over. Just like a few minutes before I got ready to hop in the bed, it was over, and I was so disappointed. And at that moment, when I was so disappointed, I was like, wait a minute. This is this me? Am I me? Who are you? And yeah, it was just crazy to me, where I actually didn't think I would notice I missed the rain, and especially thunderstorms. But I noticed last night. And it just makes you think sometimes, where some things, it's almost where you go without something. Because don't forget, in LA, thunderstorms, they happen, but they're rare. Very, very rare. And one thing that is truly rare in LA is lightning thunderstorms. Like, you get all three. The lightning, even though lightning is what creates the thunder, blah, 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 but you usually don't see the lightning. Where you get the lightning, the thunder, and the rain. Usually, what I noticed when I lived in LA, in the areas I lived in, I can't speak for anyone else who's lived in Los Angeles, but what I noticed is that you get the rain, or you don't get the thunder or the lightning. Or you get the thunder, but you don't get the rain. Or you might see the lightning and you get the thunder, but you don't get the rain. It's rare that you see all of them together. So it's almost like Halley's Comet. And last night I was just like, wow. And you think about, it just made me think, like, where people have went without something for so long, and it's just like, oh, I don't miss it. And that one day, maybe 8 years later, 10 years later, or whenever later, it appears again, and you get caught up in the moment, and you're like, wow, I did miss this. Maybe it's something like roller coasters, which I haven't been on a roller coaster in forever. You want to hear something strange? I lived near Six Flags, and now I live near Six Flags again, by the way, because it's not super duper far from where I'm at. And do you know that my 13 and a half years living in LA, I've only been to Six Flags. Only went to Six Flags, I think, twice? 13 and a half years. Only went twice, I think it was. And then, do you know that I've never been to Universal Studios? I lived in LA, never been to Universal Studios. I never went to Disneyland as well, in Anaheim, which is in the OC. Never went to any of those. It's just because I'm a homebody anyway. I'm a huge homebody. I attempt to go out more sometimes, but I just, sometimes I just don't feel like being bothered with people. But it may be something where you thought you wouldn't miss roller coasters anymore, and then through some random situation you just happen to find yourself on a roller coaster. And then all of a sudden, it just brings this relaxation, and it brings this, I guess you could say, euphoria to a certain degree to you. And you're like, wow, I was not expecting to feel this. It's what, I don't know. I'm starting to feel like I'm going into a therapy sesh here. It's refreshing, surprising, and shocking at the same time, if that makes sense. It's like, really, I missed this? This is the thing that moves me now? And that's kind of like I'm adjusting to that, because that whole, I still feel, maybe there was, I don't know, maybe it's because it's 11/11 today, and the energies are doing something or whatever. I can't put my finger on it. Wish I could. Which, speaking of 11/11, I might do a reading today. I might. Don't hold me to that. I might do a reading for the collective today. I have to see where I'm at, because I was coughing a little bit earlier, and I was like, uh-oh. So I might be drinking some honey, lemon, and ginger with warm water. But yeah, and that might be happening because I haven't been wearing socks. And that's the other thing too. That's the weird thing. Let me tell you, usually, because I have hardwood floors, and usually I wear footies, like constantly. I'm constantly wearing footies. Today, I have been obsessed this morning with touching the floor, with my feet touching the floor. Where it's like, I don't want to wear socks. I just want my feet to touch the floor. Now, when I go to bed at nighttime, I don't wear socks. I don't like wearing socks to bed at night. But when I get out of my bed, that's my thing. I wear my socks. I wear my footies around my place. But today, 11/11, I don't know. I've been in this energy where it's just like, oh my gosh, it feels so good for my feet to touch the floor. Oh, this feels good. So maybe it's that type of energy? I don't know. I really, really don't know. But whatever energy is going on, it's been an energy of, wow. It's almost where I feel connected with nature or with the earth type thing. I guess there's some grounding going on. And maybe with this, I'm thinking out loud. This is, I guess, you guys, this is my therapy. The only thing I can think of too is, because I got wrapped up in the thunderstorm, like the energy of it, what's the word? What is a word? What is a word? I don't want to say moment. Moment's too generic. I was wrapped up in the flow of earth. That's what it's like, because all of this deals with the earth, thunderstorms and so on and so forth. Like, I was just wrapped up in the flow of earth. And being able to be part of that energy, it was calming. It just made me feel like I could be still for a second. Because usually I'm constant. First of all, my mind is constantly going. Because I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And which is one reason why I don't like medications. Like, I'm totally, because I had to take them as a kid. So it was one medication to another medication to another medication, blah, 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 blah. And I just, yeah. But my mind is constantly going. And I'm constantly thinking. That's why it's like, if you ever want an idea, I'll come up with an idea in a heartbeat. Because that's just, it's a gift, is what it is. But also madness is close to genius. So keep that in mind too. But my mind is constantly going and thinking about things. And when the storm was happening yesterday, and I was caught up in the movement of Earth, the energy, it slowed things down for me, where things are usually going, at the speed of light. So that might have something to do with it too, where now it created more of an affection for the thunderstorms that I have. Because I'm looking at, because when I was a kid, I didn't really pay attention to thunderstorms. I was just like, oh, they're annoying. Or whatever. It's like, when is the storm going to be over? When is the storm going to go away? When's the rain going to go away? Type thing. Now, as I said before, obviously I don't want it to rain all the time. And hopefully it won't. Because I'm not a rain person still. However, when it does rain, when it does thunder, I don't have this like, oh my God, here comes a thunderstorm. Oh my God, here comes the rain again. Singing Annie Lennox song. Or the Eurythmics, which is the group she was with. I'm not in that mindset. I'm not in that energy right now. It's kind of like, oh, okay, here this comes. Let me get wrapped up in it so I can slow down for a second. It's really, really interesting, the things that we think we wouldn't miss, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you know what, I kind of missed this. So I had a moment. And that, I think what I'm saying is what I have always said on this channel too, even though it's hard for us, myself included, to practice the saying, stop and smell the roses. I feel that's what the thunderstorm did on a mental level. Obviously, I wasn't outside smelling roses in the rain. Now, that would be a little bit crazy. Not that I'm judging those who do, because this is a no judgment zone. It just forced me to stop and see things for a second and appreciate being in the moment. And in the moment was with the thunderstorm and the rain, which was a beautiful moment last night. It was so, so relaxing and so beautiful. So, so beautiful. So, yeah. Just interesting things that happen. And my stomach is growling. So that lets me know I need to get off of here and fix my celery juice. And then after that, I'll make my usual, my tuna with my slice of bread. And then after that, my pumpkin seed with my cashews and my non-fat Greek yogurt and my wild blueberries and a little bit of chia seeds as well. And then after that, a cup of cereal with no milk. So, yeah, that's sort of been my thing, what I usually eat for breakfast, which I might switch that up tomorrow. Who knows? So that's all I have. That's my daily thought on this. What it boils down to is you'd be surprised what you miss sometimes. KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform. This podcast is carried on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Overcast, Bullhorn, Amazon Music, Audible, and several other podcasting platforms. KIRWKC on all the social media platforms. Until next time, be blessed.